It is the blazing summer of August 9th, 378 AD. Across the sun-scorched plains of Thrace, Emperor Valens rides at the head of 15,000 battle-hardened legionaries, the iron spine of the Eastern Roman Empire, marching toward a reckoning he cannot see coming. 2 years earlier, an entire Gothic nation, men, women, children, the elderly, the desperate, had crossed the Danube River in their hundreds of thousands, driven westward by the unstoppable terror of the Huns sweeping down from the Eurasian steppe. They came not as conquerors, but as survivors. Their leader, knelt before Rome's power and made a solemn offer: land for loyalty, swords for safety. Emperor Valens agreed. But the moment Gothic feet touched Roman soil, the empire's corrupt machinery devoured them. Roman officials starved them, robbed them blind, and sold their children into slavery in exchange for dog meat. The people who arrived as grateful refugees left that experience as something far more dangerous: a nation with nothing left to lose, and a leader scarred, furious, and coldly brilliant, who had watched Rome's betrayal up close and memorized every weakness. Now Valens marches, not out of strategy, but out of pride. His nephew Gratian is riding east with reinforcements, fresh off a stunning victory in the west. Valens cannot bear to share the glory. He will strike first. He will strike alone. His generals warn him. His scouts warn him. The Gothic cavalry, thousands of horsemen under Elatheus and Saphrax, is unaccounted for somewhere beyond the hills. Valens waves them off. He has an empire to prove. What he doesn't know is that the Goths aren't waiting to be found. They are already coming. If this opening drew you in like a blade from its scabbard, welcome. This channel is where history stops being a textbook and starts being the epic it always was. Every story here is real. Every battle, every betrayal, every empire that burned itself to the ground. If you're new here, consider subscribing and hitting the bell so the next time an empire falls, you don't miss it. And to everyone who has been here, watching and sharing and showing love, this one is for you. The north bank of the Danube, 376 AD, looks like the end of the world. 200,000 Visigoths, warriors, mothers, children, the elderly clutching what little remains of their lives, press against the riverbank in a desperate, heaving mass. Behind them, invisible but certain as a death sentence, the Huns are coming. They have already annihilated the Ostrogothic kingdom. The Visigoths know what follows. There is only one option: cross the river, beg Rome for mercy. Their leader stands at the water's edge, broad, battle-scarred, war axe at his hip, watching Roman ferryboats move with agonizing slowness. He has already sent his offer to Emperor Valens: "We will serve you, we will fight for you. Give us only land and safety." Valens agrees, seeing not people, but bodies to fill his depleted legions. He sends 2 commanders, Lupicinus and Maximus, to manage the crossing. Both men recognize it immediately for what it is: the greatest money-making opportunity of their careers. According to Ammianus Marcellinus, the chaos begins the first day. People drown, families are torn apart. Then a Gothic mother presses her young son into a Roman soldier's arms, the price of one day's food. The boy looks back at her. She does not look away. Fritigern watches, fists clenched, jaw tight. He says nothing, not yet, but Rome has just made the worst mistake in its history, and it doesn't even know it. Rome promised the Goths land. Instead, it gave them a slow death. Lupicinus and Maximus, the 2 commanders charged with resettling the refugees, ran what Ammianus Marcellinus calls a criminal enterprise. Promised food was sold at extortionate prices. Gothic gold ran out first, then jewelry, then weapons, then, according to Ammianus Res Gesti, XXXI 411, their children handed to Roman soldiers as slaves in exchange for dog meat and rotting scraps. Fritigern watched it all, a Christian king who had preached cooperation, who believed Rome's word meant something. He counseled patience while his people starved. He urged calm while their children disappeared in chains. Then came the banquet at Adrianople, a diplomatic dinner that was, in truth, an assassination trap. Lupicinus planned to arrest the entire Gothic leadership in a single night, but Gothic warriors outside the walls sensed danger and began arming. Lupicinus panicked. He ordered the Gothic escorts inside the city killed. Fritigern fought out at sword point, barely. He rode from Adrianople transformed. The patient, faithful king was gone. In his place rode something Rome had catastrophically failed to anticipate, a commander who understood Roman military doctrine, Roman politics, and Roman weakness intimately. On a Thracian hillside, he watches a Roman supply depot burn and says quietly to no one, "Now we learn what we are." Rome has forged its own destroyer, it just doesn't know it yet. The dispatch arrives in Constantinople on a quiet morning. Valens reads it once, then sets it down with the careful stillness of a man controlling something violent rising inside him. His nephew Gratian, 20 years old, Emperor of the West, has crushed an Alemanni invasion at Argentivaria. The Western court is calling him a new Trajan, a new Augustus, the golden boy of Rome. Valens has ruled the East for 14 years. 14 years of grinding frontier wars, theological controversies, and thankless administration, perpetually overshadowed, first by his elder brother Valentinian, now by Valentinian's son. Ammianus documents him as a man whose sensitivity to criticism bordered on dangerous instability, prone to decisions driven by wounded pride rather than cold logic. Every general urges patience. Gratian is already marching east with reinforcements. The Magister Equitum Sebastianus has been successfully raiding Gothic supply lines. The strategy is working. Wait, combine forces, strike decisively. Valens listens, nods, thanks them. Then orders the march. That night, alone in his tent, he traces the road to Adrianople with one finger, then slowly lifts it from the road where Gratian is coming. He will not share this victory, he cannot. Tomorrow, the most dangerous man on that battlefield won't be Fritigern. It will be Valens himself, and 20,000 Romans will pay for it. They have been marching since before dawn, 7 miles, in August, in full armor. Ammianus Marcellinus describes the Thracian summer heat as turning the very air thick and hostile, and by the time the Roman column is fully moving, the soldiers are already thirsty. They haven't eaten properly since the previous evening. These are professionals, the hardened backbone of the Eastern Field Army, and their morale holds, but the sun is doing quiet. Merciless damage to every man with every step. Scouts return with news. The Gothic wagon lager is visible ahead, a massive circular wall of wagons, Gothic infantry massed inside, women and children moving between the wheels. But the cavalry, the Gruthungi horsemen under Alathius and Saphrax and their Alan allies, are nowhere to be found. Nobody knows where they are. Valens's generals press him urgently. The cavalry could return any moment. The men need water, we must wait. Valens orders deployment. As the Romans spread into battle formation under the hammerblow sun, Fritigern moves quietly. He sends worthless peace envoys to Valens, deliberately low-ranking, authorized to negotiate nothing, chosen purely to burn time. Then he orders the surrounding scrubland set alight. Thick, acrid smoke rolls across the Roman lines. A veteran centurion, throat parched, eyes streaming, turns to the soldier beside him. Something is wrong. Something is very wrong. Above them, the sun hits its brutal peak, and somewhere in the northern hills, barely audible beneath the creak of leather and the crackle of fire, the distant thunder of hoofbeats getting louder. Fritigern doesn't win battles with steel alone. He wins them first inside his enemy's mind. While his worthless peace envoys shuffle back and forth buying precious minutes, he keeps his Gothic infantry locked behind the wagon wall, thousands of voices rising in rhythmic, ululating war chants that drift through the smoke like a ghost army. The Romans can hear them. They cannot see them. The sound is designed to unnerve. It works perfectly. Meanwhile, hard-riding messengers are already gone north into the hills, carrying one message to Alathius, Saphrax, and the cavalry: come now, come fast. But then Roman indiscipline does what Roman discipline never could. It breaks Fritigern's carefully controlled timeline. 2 auxiliary cavalry officers, Bacurius and Cassio, advance on the Gothic wagons without orders. They are repulsed and fall back in chaos, but the damage is catastrophic. The Gothic infantry, reading the advance as the battle signal, surge forward from the laager in a screaming mass. Fritigern's controlled delay is over. He adapts without hesitation, driving his infantry forward in loose, fluid order, denying the Romans the tight press where their discipline thrives. Then a warrior on the laager wall screams and points north. Fritigern turns. On the horizon, a dark line, moving fast, growing larger with every heartbeat, thousands of horses. He closes his eyes for one single second. When he opens them, the last piece of the trap has arrived. The battle erupts everywhere at once, and from the first heartbeat, it is wrong. The Roman infantry are compromised before a single sword connects. Dehydrated, smoke-blinded, locked in formation for hours under a merciless August sun. And now the Gothic warriors, 2 years of hunger and fury compressed into a single screaming charge, come pouring out of the laager like a dam breaking, crashing into the Roman front with ferocity that discipline alone cannot absorb. Ammianus Marcellinus describes it with a soldier's cold precision, res gesti, XXXI 1213, the Goths fighting loose, fluid, individual, denying the Romans the tight organized press where their training becomes lethal. For one brief, breathless moment, the Roman left flank pushes forward. The wagons are close. A breakthrough feels possible. Then the right flank simply ceases to exist. The gap left by the earlier unauthorized cavalry advance opens like a wound. Gothic warriors pour through. Roman cohesion dissolves, soldiers turning to face threats from angles their formation was never designed to handle, the ordered lines buckling, blurring, breaking apart. Valens frantically commits his reserves, chasing a battle moving faster than any messenger can report it. Then a tribune arrives, horse-lathered, face bloodless, and speaks in a voice stripped of everything except raw fear. The right flank is broken, Augustus, and there is cavalry coming from the north, a great deal of cavalry. He stops, swallows hard. They are not ours. Valens stares at him, says nothing. For the first time in his life, the Emperor of the East has no answer. They come out of the north like judgment. The Gruthungi cavalry under Alathius and Saphrax, the Alan horsemen, steppe warriors born in the saddle, products of a military tradition Rome has never faced at full force. The ground shakes before they are even visible. Then the dark line appears on the horizon, resolving with horrible speed into individual horses, riders, lowered lances, and the Roman right flank simply freezes. They hit like a battering ram, finding a cracked wall. What remains of the Roman cavalry lasts minutes. Ammianus records their total collapse, res gesti, XXXI 1217, swept from the field, abandoning the infantry to whatever comes next. The Gothic horsemen sweep around both flanks in great curving arcs, executing the oldest and deadliest maneuver in warfare, the double envelopment. The encirclement closes. A veteran centurion in the suffocating center looks left, Gothic horsemen. Looks right, Gothic horsemen. Looks behind him, Gothic horsemen. 20 years of campaigning across 3 continents tells him exactly what this means. He turns back to face the enemy ahead, raises his shield, and fights the only way a surrounded man can. One enemy at a time, until there are no more enemies, or until there is no more him. What happens inside the ring defies description. Ammianus Marcellinus, gathering survivor accounts with a historian's ruthless precision, records the unthinkable. The Roman soldiers are packed so tightly that the dead cannot fall, res gesti, XXXI 1312. The living are held upright by corpses. Men who cannot raise their sword arms are stabbed where they stand, unable to fight, unable to run, unable to do anything except die in place. The Gothic perimeter contracts inward. Veterans scarred by the Rhine, the Euphrates, the Danube sell their lives as expensively as broken men can. Somewhere inside that shrieking, smoke-choked ring, Emperor Valens falls. Ammianus records it with quiet devastation, wounded by an arrow, carried to a nearby farmhouse, burned alive when Gothic warriors, not knowing who is inside, set it alight. His body is never found. His signet ring, the seal of imperial power, is never recovered. One Goth later boasted of killing a richly dressed Roman officer. He didn't learn until years later who the man had been. The sun lowers, the fields are carpeted with Roman dead. The battle is over, but what it has set in motion, that is only just beginning. They searched for the emperor's body for days. They never found it. Flavius Julius Valens Augustus, sovereign of the Roman world from the Danube to the Euphrates, vanished into the Thracian dust without a grave, without a tomb, without a monument. Only absence. The survivors who staggered back to Adrianople were unrecognizable, hollow-eyed, weaponless, some without sandals. Ammianus describes them as men walking inside a dream they cannot escape. Between 10,000 and 20,000 Romans dead. 2/3 of the entire Eastern Field Army gone in a single afternoon. Constantinople panicked. The Goths roamed Thrace unchallenged, raiding, burning, growing bolder. The new Emperor Theodosius eventually negotiated peace in 382 AD, granting the Goths federated land and the right to fight under their own commanders. Rome called it a solution. It was really a confession: we can no longer keep you out. A generation later, those same federated Goths marched under Alaric. In 410 AD, they sacked Rome itself. The chain runs perfectly straight. Roman officials sold Gothic children for dog meat. A betrayed people became an unstoppable army. An emperor's vanity buried 20,000 men. Adrianople didn't just kill an emperor. It killed the idea that Rome could not fall, and that idea was the empire's last true weapon.